Hello, everyone. This is Ashley Lucas from State Hearings, the ACMS support team, and I'll be conducting your webinar today for how to use appeals case management. And as I understand it, you guys are all Riverside County Resource Family Approval users. So I chatted with our Resource Family Approval team, and I asked them, well, what does Riverside County need to know about ACMS? What do they do? How do they work with ACMS so that I can show them all the things they need to know in the system? I have a phone number for you guys to call right here and an access code, and that way you can hear my voice. I've also put that in the chat for those people who are not there. And I am assuming that some folks are just together in a conference room or something. So you can go ahead and unmute yourself and answer me if you can hear me.
This is Angela's husband.
Sorry, Angela, I think you were getting a little feedback. So sometimes if you got multiple people in a room, you might get that. So if you can't unmute, then you can type your questions in the question box there in the chat area of the webinar, or you can email them to me later on and I can get back to you. But feel free to unmute yourself if you can, and if we get that feedback again, then just go ahead and type it into that question box. I have that up on my screen. I have two screens going, so I'll keep an eye on that and see if you guys have any questions as we go through the presentation. And don't feel bad about interrupting me. Ask your questions whenever they pop in your head, and I can answer them right away. So let's go ahead and get started. I think we've got 10 people here, and I have like 11 people signed up for the class. And Marna's got her hand up. Did you have a question, Marna? No? Okay, if you do, just type it in the question box, and I'll be sure to answer it for you. All right, so let me get this out of the way, and we'll get started. Okay, so today what I'm going to do is kind of give you a little tour of ACMS, introduce you to what it is, how it works, give you a little tour of that home screen, which is the first screen you see when you sign into ACMS, and then we'll go into an appeal. And I will show you all the different things on the appeal screen and what they mean and what you can do with them. And then we're going to go into the Documents tab where all the documents of a file live and how you can look at those documents. And then the other thing you might want to look at is how to look at the hearing calendar so you know when the hearings are coming up. So those are the four things I'm going to focus on today. If you find you have extra questions about other things, don't worry about it. You can just email me at acms@dss.ca.gov, and I can answer your questions there, or one of my team members can. All right, so ACMS is an online system that we just developed. It's almost 1 year old. We started, it went online September 17th of 2018. So we're approaching our 1 year anniversary. And it's a system where we have not only counties in there, we have DHCS, Covered California, the claimants can go into ACMS and look, CDSS Legal, who represent the counties in RFA cases, they can go and look in cases, and also some of the bigger AR organizations can go in there and look at cases as well. So it's a really nice system where everybody can see all the documents in a case. You can see what status is in. Is it scheduled? Has it been heard yet? And anything you needed to know. So everything you would call CDSS about as far as state hearings, you can go in and just look at the case yourself and see what state it's in. So saying that, your county credentials that you use to sign into ACMS, those are business partner credentials. As a business partner, you can see a whole lot more in ACMS than, say, the e-filer can see or the AR can see. They only see a little tiny portion, and if you're interested in what does the e-filer see when they go into ACMS, I have a video on our informational website, and I'm going to give you that website during the end of the presentation. And also this presentation that I'm showing you is in the handout section of the webinar. So you can get a copy of this presentation for you to keep. I tried to make it so that it has a lot of information. If you weren't able to attend the webinar, if you just looked at this presentation, you should be able to garner all the information that you need. So hopefully that's helpful to you. Let's see. So your credentials do have a lot of access to our claimant information. And knowing that, we ask you as our business partners to please make sure you only use your credentials on your Riverside County devices, and then use a secure Wi-Fi. So don't go into ACMS on your personal computer or on the Starbucks Wi-Fi, because that'll make it really insecure. So stay with a secure environment when you're accessing ACMS. And why do we say that? Well, because as I mentioned, we do have that personally identifiable information, that PII, and health information, PHI, and especially RFA cases. It has a lot of confidential documents in it, and we don't want to compromise our claimants' information in any form or fashion. So I'm sure Riverside County makes you guys take information security training every year or every 2 years like we have to do, and that HIPAA training, that kind of thing. So just remember, keep that in mind when you're accessing ACMS. But you can use that data, because I know Riverside County probably does this a lot. State hearings, we conduct a lot of our questions and business with our claimants over the telephone. And it's really important to make sure that you're talking to who you think you're talking to. You want to talk to only the claimant regarding a case, or maybe their AR, their authorized representative. So you can use ACMS to verify the identity of a caller, like you have access to their email address and their birth date and their snail mail address, and you can ask them, so what is your birth date? And if they can confirm that with you, or what is your mailing address, then that could be one way to identify your caller and make sure that you're talking to somebody you should be talking to when it comes to a case. Okay, so there are three main parts of ACMS. There's that home screen that you see when you first go into ACMS, and then every claimant has a profile. And then there's the appeal information, which is specific information regarding a case. Now, each appeal has to have a claimant profile. You can't have an appeal without a profile. And but you can have a profile without an appeal. And once a claimant goes in there and makes a profile, they can use that same profile to submit several appeals. And I will show you what that looks like when we go in and look at a profile. So here are the main parts of the home screen. Now this particular slide is kind of a slide that I made for reference, for you to take this presentation, and if you're looking at it later on, it'll remind you of all the little parts. But what I like to do is I like to go into the system and kind of show you what it looks like and walk you through it right away. So first, let me go into the live system and do that. So let me sign in. And you may notice that I'm using the Edge browser that comes with Microsoft. Our preferred browsers for ACMS are Chrome, Google Chrome browser, or Microsoft Edge. Those two work really well with ACMS. We have noticed some irregularities with some pages when you use Internet Explorer, which is the kind of the legacy browser with Microsoft systems. So here we are. Let me change my Rialto County user so it looks like what you see when you log on. And this is the main home screen. So when you log on to ACMS using your county credentials, this is what you're going to see. And up here in the upper left-hand corner, you're going to see the My Account. That's where you're going to change your password if you need to. If you are unlucky enough to have multiple roles like me, this is where you can change roles. You probably just have the one, so you probably don't need to change roles. Sign out, that's obvious, and so is help. And then if you look over to the right-hand side, you're going to see your email address, which is always our username for ACMS, your business email address. So that's my business email address. And then in the parentheses, you're going to see your role. and I am a county user right now. Then you're going to see this gray box up at the top. That is the navigation bar, and there's a couple of things that are on there. There's some reports that are available. Feel free to go in there and take a look at those reports and see if any of them are useful to you. And then there's a search feature where you can look at different appeals if you wanted to see how many appeals did Riverside County get for RFA in the month of July. You can probably do a search for that. Tracking inbox we don't use a whole lot. I don't know if that would be helpful to you. And then, of course, home is where we are right now. And then right underneath that, you're going to see this blue link right here that says home, because that's where we are. But as you start to dive into different appeals, that's going to build a breadcrumb to show you where you've been in the system. And then you can click on those breadcrumbs to easily go back to a certain part of an appeal, so you don't have to start from the beginning. And then up here we have a system-wide broadcast bar where we put important information. So, for example, this last Saturday, the system was going to go down from 6:45 to 10:45 a.m. for a deployment of our latest sprint, which is sprint number 24. And then we have some notes on what we changed in this sprint, if you're interested in that. Now, the next thing you're going to find is this dashboard searching. And that's the way I usually try to find my cases. You can do a claimant search, you can do a beneficiary search, and then you can do an appeal search. Appeal search is really easy. You just put in the appeal number. You should put in a minimum of at least 5 numbers. Because if you put like the number 1 in this and do a search, well, pretty much all 85,000 cases in ACMS have the number 1 in them. So you're going to get a huge return. And you might get an error message. So the more you put in your appeal search here for the number, the more narrower your search results will be. And once you do that, you're going to find the results down here right underneath the search bar. Now let me switch over to the training environment so that I can kind of show you what that looks like. So 1, 2, 3. And in the training environment, we only have maybe 10,000 cases. So I can just put in 3 numbers and I'll be okay. All right, so you can see I'm looking for an appeal with the numbers 1, 2, 3 in it, and it's going to pop this up. It has a 1, 2, 3 at the end. And then I can click on that and get the information about that appeal. Okay, so that's how you do an appeal search. So how about that claimant search and that beneficiary search? Well, I know the folks in RFA, probably the beneficiaries are usually children, and children can never be claimants. Claimants are always the parent, foster parent, guardian, that type of thing, the adult of the relationship. They're the claimant. And sometimes we know the beneficiary's name, but we don't know the parent's name. So that's why we have this beneficiary search in there, so that you can find the case you're looking for. And how these searches, both of these searches work the same way. You just put in like a first name, like John, and it's going to look for that string of letters as a first name, and it's going to return it at the bottom here again. And it's going to look for everybody that has the first name of John or Johnny, anything with J-O-H-N in it. So you might get a lot of hits when you put in something really common. So it might be good to put in like the last name as well, and that's going to narrow your search down a little bit. So now I only have 2. So you can do a search on first name, last name, date of birth, if you know all those things, or just the first name or the last name, and depending on how popular those names are, you might get a lot of hits. Same thing with the beneficiary. So if I was going to put the name John into beneficiary, and I hit search, I'm going to return this appeal, and you're looking at this going, wait, that says Melody Babbitt. Well, that's probably the parent's name. And if I go into this case and I look into the contact tab where all the people live, I bet you I'm going to find a beneficiary whose first name has the letters J-O-H-N in it. And of course I do, beneficiary Johnny Smith. All right. So, that's what a beneficiary search is. I'm looking at the questions, and no worries, Marna, you're okay. And that's what a beneficiary search is, Margaret. Hopefully that explains it a little bit better. All right, let me go back to my presentation here. So one of the other things that are available to you on that main screen is this decisions release report, where you can check and see what decisions have been released for your cases. You click on that and you fill in a few fields, and it returns a report that has all the decisions that were released during a particular time frame that you specify. And then down on the bottom left, you're going to see a bunch of queues, and we're going to go into which queues are the most important for RFA Riverside County. And then once you click on any of these queues, whatever you click on is going to appear here on this side, on the right-hand side. And it looks like right here I have case view history that's clicked. That's one that might be useful to you. These are the last few cases that I was working on in the system. And of course, I was using the live system to do this, so I redacted some of the case numbers and the names just to keep, you know, that PII and the PHI private. All right, so are there any other questions about this home screen? It's pretty self-explanatory. If you do think of anything, just go ahead and type it into that question box, or you can unmute yourself and ask. And then I go into detail here about what I already told you about the top bar here, your username and your role and your account and the breadcrumbs. So you have this all memorialized, everything I said in your presentation, system-wide broadcast. And then the home, how do you go back to your home screen is just by clicking that home button. And then I did talk about this dashboard searching. You can see claimant search, beneficiary search, and appeal search. And then I jotted down everything I told you is jotted down here in these boxes. So hopefully, Margaret, this will be a good reference for you in the future when you're using ACMS to help you remember what the difference is between all these different searches. I know if you don't get into ACMS a whole lot, it's easy to forget what they all mean. So it's great to have a little reference material. So now I'm going to go into those cues that you see on the bottom left-hand side of your home screen and talk about the ones that are super important for county RFA folks. Remember I talked about the parts of ACMS, that there was the home screen, and the second thing is the claimant profile. Okay, the claimant profile is where all the personal information of a claimant lives. So you're going to see, let me pull one up for you here so that you can see it. So let me pick one of these claimants here and go into their profile so that you can see what it looks like. So you can see that you have the name, birth date, you can see their language of preference, and you notice that there are a lot of different fields here, and only some of them have that little red R. The red R is a required field, so those are definitely going to be filled out. Now, sometimes people e-file their accounts online, and they get all these fields, and sometimes they fill them out. But typically, when we're taking a case over the telephone, we just concentrate on these little red R's, otherwise we might be there all day taking an appeal. So maybe in the future we'll add the demographic. I can see where that might be handy in the future for us to figure out our caseloads and be able to break them down by demographics. You can also see their preferred mode of communication, which is an important thing to know. They only have two choices. Either they're going to get it via email or they're going to get it via postal system. And depending on whatever they pick there, it's going to change what the required fields are. So if this person wanted postal system, all of their postal information is going to be required. If they put email, there's only one thing required, and that's their email address. Okay, who enters all that information on the home screen? The home screen, Heidi asked. The home screen doesn't really have all the information. It's where we go to. It's where we go to find places to go. But all on this profile screen, depending on who takes in the appeal, a lot of times it's state hearings. We fill all this out when we're talking to them on the telephone. Some counties actually online their own stuff, and they do it. They fill out all this information. But I'm guessing that Riverside County probably has either sends their appeals to us here at state hearings and we online them. I'm not sure if they online their own appeals for Riverside County. I know you guys as RFA folks do not. Hopefully that answers your question, Heidi. So all of this information gets input, even though the phone number is not a required field. It's always good to have a phone number because sometimes we do phone hearings, and actually quite a lot when it comes to RFA cases, right? And sometimes we just have questions for the claimant. It's easier to give them a call and ask them rather than trying to send them a letter that takes forever. Okay, and then you might notice on the right-hand side of the profile, you're going to see existing appeals. Existing appeals is going to keep track of all the different appeals a person has. So currently, Ashby Lane only has one appeal, and it's a foster care appeal in El Dorado County. And right now it's heard, so we're probably just waiting on a decision, and it will probably never come because this is a pretend case in my training environment. So this is not a real person, not a real birthday, not a real case. Just in case you were wondering. Okay, so back to the presentation. Here you can see in this presentation, this is one of our test cases that I grabbed the information on. Again, not a real person. And we put in all these different cases. This is how we test how the system is working. And, And so apparently Georgetta Hassan is one of our test cases, and we try out all these different things on our test cases. So this person has a lot of appeals. All right, any questions, any more questions about the claimant profile screen? All right, so I'm going to move on to the next one, which is the appeal screen. So now that you know about the people of an appeal, how to find a person and what a person's profile looks like, what about their appeal? So remember that Georgetta Hassan, she had a bunch of appeals. Here's one of them. And again, sorry, let me close this part off, exit. This is a reference slide for you to look at later on. So hopefully I'm going to go over all of this in an environment where you can see it. So let's look for a case. And this is what the appeal screen looks like. It's a little bit different from the profile screen. The profile screen, remember, has all the personal information about the claimant. And this screen has all the information about the appeal. So we call it the appeal screen. The first thing you'll notice is up here at the top, you're going to see a whole bunch of little tabs. And the most important tabs are, of course, this appeal tab, which has a summary of the appeal. And then the other important one is the document tab, where you're going to find all the documents in a case. And I'll go over that later, but I'm going to give you a tour of this screen right now. And you remember those breadcrumbs I told you about that were underneath this navigation? See, I started out in tracking inboxes home. That's the same thing. And then now I'm in the appeal. So it tells me the appeal case number right up here. So what can I see on the appeal screen? I can see the claimant, and if you can notice that it's a clickable link, I can click on that link and get Miss Mary Kirk's personal information, her profile. And then there's a lot of information that's right here in case I didn't want to click in there to look into Mary's, I'm looking for Mary's address, it's right here. Her date of birth, her email address, her phone number, all the really important information right there. Now, the next thing I'm looking at here is her hearing information. Now, I know that she has an appeal with El Dorado County, and this is the issue that she's appealing. For all your cases, that'll all say RFA. And then, of course, any case history. What's in case history? If it's an expedited case, or if there is a postponement, anything odd like that is going to be here in the case history. Then, as we move down the screen a little bit, you're going to see the appeal status. This appeal is heard, and we're waiting for a decision. Oh, and the other thing you might notice is up here you have the case number, and then you might notice a PIN number. Well, we do have a phone system for our claimants to use, and as long as they have their case number and their PIN number, they can find information regarding their case via telephone. So they can call in, put in their case number and their PIN number, and they can do things like withdraw their case or postpone their case. They can do all sorts of stuff, find out what the status is. So we try to make it easy for our appellants to work with their cases via telephone or go online, either way. All right, claimant info, we already know, Mary Kirk. And then there's the appeal info. So the type of hearing request, there are 3 different types. There's verbal, written, and e-filer. Verbal means they probably called us here at state hearings. Written means they submitted probably the NA Back 9 off their notice of action, and they submitted a hearing request that way, a written one. And then e-file means they went online and they made an account and they filed their appeal online with ACMS. And of course, you'll see a filing date, probably a due date, all these different dates. If there's a rehearing, you'll see that information here. And if there's an NOA, the NOA number will be listed here. The different responsible agencies would be listed right here under appeal information. For the RFA cases, you probably see responsible agency would be CDSS legal, and then probably level 2 or other involved agency would be your agency, Riverside County. For hearing information, this gives us, the people that do scheduling for state hearings, we need to know things like, do we need to get an interpreter for the hearing? So it pulls from their profile, whether they're an English speaker or if they speak a different language, then we try to find if they need an interpreter. We arrange for all of that on behalf of the hearing. And then we can see their preferred communication. This person, Ms. Mary Kirk, likes to get her stuff via postal mail, so USPS. And this hearing is going to be a phone hearing. Now, if a hearing rep has been assigned, you're going to see that information right down here under hearing rep. If Ms. Kirk has an AR organization that's representing her, that would be listed right here. Any information regarding aid would be right here. And then a lot of these fields down here at the bottom are mostly for state hearings. Like when we schedule a case, we assign a calendar template. And then if we need to adjust the due date for any reason, that's right here. Complexity level is for judges. And special accommodations is for like whatever they put for special accommodations in their profile. Like sometimes they'll put wheelchair access or assisted hearing device needed, something like that. That helps us if they're doing a hearing. We want to be prepared so that they can easily get to the hearing and make sure they have wheelchair access or whatever they need to make the hearing go smoothly. And then, of course, the date that this appeal was created. All right. Associated appeals, that might be something that you might see quite a bit actually for RFA cases. So associated appeals are appeals that are somehow linked together. For example, if you have multiple minors in the same household, but each minor has a case, but they're really all the same case, you might see them associated together so that the judge knows that there's more than one person. Sometimes it gets scheduled all together so that the judge can hear the case for all 3 children, or all two, however many children there are, all at one time. So that's what associated appeals are. All right, I'm taking a look at the question box. I don't see any new questions, so I'm going to move on. Go back to my presentation here. So I did talk about those different tabs. I'm going to go into detail on each one of those tabs and what they mean. I talked about this ribbon section, which has the claimant info, hearing info, case history, associated appeals, and the details we went over. All right, so let's talk about those appeals that you see at the top of the appeal tab. And again, all of this information is a reference material for you. So let me pull this in again, and I will talk about each of those tabs using Ms. Mary Kirk. And actually, let's go to a different appeal. Let's find I have an RFA appeal that I'm going to pull up. So it looks like something you might see in your cases. Okay. So I don't know if you remember, but when I talked about the contact tab, I said that's where all the people of a case live, and that's what that is. So the hearing representative would be here. Beneficiary, if there's a beneficiary, that would be listed here. The AR would be listed here. So the different people that are involved in the case would be listed on the contact tab. Now, your favorite tab is the document tab. And the document tab is where all the documents, all the paperwork. So if we had a case file here at state hearings, like a manila folder with all the copies of the letters, this would be what is the digital version of that. So the first thing you're going to see here is a letter or notification that went out to the claimant acknowledging their hearing request. And then since this was a hearing request that we put into the system automatically makes a hearing request document. This is what the judge marks as Exhibit A, the hearing request. And then, of course, there's an SOP from whatever county is involved. That SOP, as I understand it, is uploaded by your CDSS legal representative. Here we have the pre-hearing conference notification. So this is a letter that went out to the claimant letting them know about their pre-hearing and their hearing. And here's a hearing letter as well. Now on this document listing, if you ever wanted to take a look at that document and see what it looks like, you can see right here under File, you're going to see the different files with a paper clip. Now if I click on that with the paper clip, it's going to open up the actual document. So here we go. It opened up this acknowledgement letter that is in the file. So you can see what kind of letters the claimant has received regarding their case. You can even read them. And if you wanted to look at the SOP that was uploaded by a CDSS Legal, you can do that. You just click on there. And I think I just put a dummy SOP in here. Yeah, this is, yeah, not very helpful, but you know, it's an example. So you can take a look at all the different letters that are in the claimant's case, if you like. You can even save a copy if you need to. Now, everything else that you see here is called metadata. And this is like the date that it was uploaded, the date and time, the category and type. That kind of gives you a clue as to what type of document it is. If the judge has marked it as an exhibit, you're going to probably see a number or a letter in this column. And then here's the name of the document. And the actual document file is under File. And optionally, you have a description. You can write a description. Usually you can tell from the category and the type what type of document it is. But if you have like other additional document or maybe claimant document submitted by claimant, they might want to put like a little description in here to let everybody know what this document is, because it doesn't really say. I just know that it was submitted by the claimant, right? It could be anything. The next column you're going to see here is system generated. a lot of times ACMS will generate things automatically, like the acknowledgement letter gets generated automatically. All these hearing notices are automatically generated. So you're going to see yes in this column if it's automatically generated. If it got mailed out to the person, like say this person had chosen postal mail for their communication preference, you're going to see the date that this got mailed out to the claimant under this date mailed column. Now these last 4 columns are regarding confidential documents. Now I know RFA has a lot of confidential documents in their files. Documents that you may want to share with other people on the case, but you don't necessarily want the claimant to see it. Maybe it has information that you don't think should be shared with them. You can make a document confidential, and you can determine who can see this. So this other additional document here has been made a confidential document. And I can tell you that the El Dorado County folks can read it because they're on the list right here. Is it a confidential document? Yes. Can the e-filer see it? Is the e-filer accessible? No. Can the authorized rep access the document? And the answer is yes. So you control all of that when you upload a confidential document. You can say, well, El Dorado County can see it, but I don't want the e-filer to see it, and I don't want the authorized rep to see it. Any questions about this? Oh, I see. Can the claimant see the documents in this tab? So the answer to the claimant, can the claimant see the documents in the tab? Yes. Unless it's marked confidential and you have e-filer accessible, no. So if I were the e-filer looking at this, I would only see these these documents. I would not see this last document down here. If you want to see an example of that, if you go to my informational website, I have a video of what does an e-filer see when they go into ACMS, and that will give you a good idea of what it looks like on their end. So we should not be putting our SOS in there, as that is intended only for CDSS legal. Angela, as a precaution, I would say you don't need to upload your SOS, but you can upload your SOS in here and just make it so that CDSS legal can see it. And yes, on confidential, let's give it a try. So can you show us how to make a document? Yes, so let's give it a try. I'm going to add a document to this file, and I'm going to say plus new. The other way you can do it is hover over the word document and click on new document. Either way, you're going to get the same place. So here I have the screen. It automatically puts the document date as today's date, which is fine. You can change it if you need to. And let's just say you just have, let's just say other additional document, and give it a name, super secret doc for CDSS legal. Whatever name you decide to put it on there. And again, I'm just focusing on these little R's for the most part. You're going to browse your computer. You're going to find the file, upload it right here. You can put in a description if you wish. Super secret. And then, right here where it says confidential, you're going to say yes. Once you hit yes, it's going to pop up these other fields, organizational units. So you're going to say magnifying glass, and you're going to say CDSS legal. But it should pop up right there, CDSS legal. So you want legal to be able to see it, all right? So I'm going to close that box. Do you want the e-filer to see it? No. Do you want their AR to see it? No. So now the only people who can see this document, you might want to put Riverside County too, so you can see it. So let's find Riverside County. Riverside County, there we go. So now CDSS legal can see it, Riverside County can see it, state hearings can always see it. So don't forget here, we at state hearings will be able to see this document. So if you don't want us to see it, then you have to not upload it. So CDSS Legal can see it, Riverside County can see it, but the e-filer and their AR cannot see it. So I am going to hit save. Then you get this little pop-up that says, hey, you've got a super secret document, confidential document. You will not be able to view it unless you're part of the Can You View team. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK. And here we have the super secret document. CDSS Legal can see it. Riverside County can see it. But the e-filer and their AR cannot see it. So, Angela, hopefully that shows you how to upload a confidential document. And is there a way to remove a document that we upload? That is also a very good question, Angela, and the answer is no. But let's just say you made a mistake and you uploaded a super secret document to the wrong case. And if that happens, you need to send an email to acms@dss.ca.gov. And we here at State Hearings, that's my support team, we can delete it out of there so that we're not violating any, PII or PHI. So let us know right away, because if the person has email access, the second you upload that document, they're going to get a notification saying, hey, you have a new document in your case. You might want to go and look at it. So we want to beat them to that. So right away, and we are really good about checking those emails. Even when we go to meetings, we bring our laptops, and we are always checking that ACMS box to make sure that we catch things like when people get locked out of their accounts and when people have uploaded the wrong document. So be super careful when you upload a document because it's kind of a trick to get it out, right? Only us here. Hopefully that answers your question, Angela. Really great question. All right. So again, here's all the information, all the different tabs. Oh, I didn't finish going over the tabs. Okay, hang on. The hearing tab is not really used by very many people. You can click on it and look, and you can see the different hearings that are scheduled for this case. So the pre-hearing was on July 15th, and the hearing scheduled for July 31st. And I made all this up, so I don't know if that time frame is good or not. The issue is where you're going to see the information about what the person is appealing. So if they called us up and they filed their appeal on the phone agent is going to type in whatever they tell them, like I'm appealing this denial because blah, 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 blah. So you'll see all the information right here on this issue tab. The note tab is another handy place. It's a place where we put notes regarding the case. So if there is something that happened, let's just say I'm going to say there's a new note, and I'm going to say a claimant called to change address. Address changed in profile. So anything that happens that's out of the ordinary, I always try to encourage folks to put in a note so that we can kind of track what's going on with the case. And as you can see this morning, I was uploading information on this case. So it puts a note in every time I upload a new document. The super secret documents that I uploaded there's a note for that. Now, who can see the note tab? You can as Riverside County. I can as State Hearings. I think the judge can too. But the claimant cannot see it, and the AR cannot see it. They only can see the appeal information, and they have a very limited view. They don't get to see things like the hearing rep information. They mostly just get to see like what is your issue and blah, 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 blah. So if you're interested in, and again, if you're interested in seeing what they see, just go to my the informational website and it shows you. The task tab is where all the tasks of a case live. So the first thing that happens is somebody reviews the case. There's usually a review task, and then somebody schedules it. So there's a scheduling task, and then assign a hearing rep. Then that hearing rep needs to submit an SOP, blah, 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 blah. So you can kind of figure out where the case is by looking at the task tab. So it looks like a decision was released on this case because it's already through the decision part. All right, and the activity tab is right now is not available for view because we found out that people were going to the activity tab and they were able to see like when a judge uploads a decision, before it gets released, our team kind of does like a Q&A on it, make sure the spelling is all right, try to make sure everything is formatted correctly, that kind of thing, before it gets released. And sometimes the presiding judge likes to take a look at the decision before it gets released to the claimant and the county and the CDSS legal, all those folks. So people were going in there and they were getting a sneak peek of the decision before it got released. So we had to close this tab down, and we're looking for a way to kind of hide that information. And now that I'm saying it, I'm looking and I'm seeing that the confidential document, you can see there, but the only people that can see, again, the activity tab are business partners. And usually when we upload a super secret document, confidential document, we usually don't want the e-filer to see it, but they never get to see this activity tab. So I'm not too worried about that. Any questions? Oh, Angel's got more questions. Was we messed up? Is there a way to who adds the task to the task tab? If we have an SOP due date, do we put that on the list, or will somebody else put that there? Good question, Angela. The tasks are automatically created by ACMS. So ACMS knows that the first thing is somebody's got to review. So it knows that once an appeal is filed, it goes to the review team, here at state hearings, and we take a look at it and just make sure that everything looks right. Like if the issue matches the program, all that kind of thing. The next thing we know that happens in a case is it looks at, did the person ask for expedite? If it's an expedite, we need to make sure that we, fast pace it and get it scheduled within the time frame allotted for an expedite. And the PJ needs to determine whether they're going to grant that expedite or not, depending on whatever reason they put in there. I'm not sure if RFA cases get expedited or not. You guys probably know better than I do, but we do have some case types here at state hearings that do get expedited. The next thing, we need to assign a hearing rep, and ACMS knows all this. It knows the progression. So once a hearing, it automatically puts in a task to assign a hearing rep, and it sends it out to, for your cases, it's going to send it out to CDSS legal, and it's going to send it out to your county. So it's going to be in your cases without a hearing rep queue that you find in the front, that home page. And that's where somebody's going to assign a hearing rep for your case. All right. Do we put that on the list, or will somebody else put that there? So if somebody else puts that there, you don't have to worry about that at all. It's all automatic. Hope that answers your question, Angela. So yeah, that's something that's really automatic, and we can kind of keep track of what's happening with the case. So let me go down to these different cases down here, and let me get back to that case I was looking at. Oops, cases without a hearing rep. No. Oh, anyways, here's what that cases without a hearing rep looks like. So you're probably looking at just the RFA cases, RFA, because you're an RFA. So here are the different RFA cases that are in my training environment that need to have a hearing rep assigned to them. And I think usually the hearing rep assigning thing goes to CDSS legal. I don't know if Riverside County assigns a hearing rep at all because CDSS Legal represents you guys. So I think CDSS Legal does this part. Okay, we have SOPD. Do we put that on the list or somebody else? Okay, so I think I answered Angela's question. If not, Angela, let me know. Let me go back to that one case I was looking at and go back to my presentation. Okay, so those are all the different things that are the tabs at the top. All right. So the ribbon we have kind of already talked about. Here's where you can see the due date, the case view history, the postponement. This particular case got a couple of postponements granted, or maybe one because it's the same date. And then we already talked about viewing the document tab and all the different documents that you're going to see on there. So this, again, this is kind of a reference slide for you. This one doesn't have any confidential documents, so that's no fun. All right, and then how to view. So this gives you step-by-step instructions on how to look at documents. So you're going to click on the document tab, and then you're going to have that list of documents. You click on the paperclip if you want to look at the actual document. And then if you click anywhere else, you're going to get this metadata that tells you a little more information regarding that particular document. Okay, so now let's look at that calendars and hearing queue. That is where you're going to find like where your cases are scheduled. So let me go to the main home page and go down to the bottom, and you're going to look at scheduling. And then you're going to go to calendars and hearings. And the first thing you want to do is you're going to look at RFA cases. RFA Eldorado. Okay. So here in the test environment, RFA has 3. But in the live environment, it only has 1. And it says RFA statewide. So if you click that box, RFA statewide, in the calendars and hearings queue, you're going to get all the RFA cases. So let me refresh the screen, see what that looks like. Are these all RFAs? Some of them are. This is an RFA. I don't know why that's in there. But you're going to get a list of the different RFA cases, and it's going to give you the date and time of the hearing. It's going to give you a clickable link so that you can go and look at the case if you want to, the claimant's name, the calendar that it's on. So for you, it'll all say RFA statewide. Whether it's checked in or not, that's an optional field that some counties use for in-person hearings. So that checked in means that the person is in the building. The claimant is in the building. For you guys, your agency will always say a Riverside County, or maybe CDSS Legal. Your program type will all say RFA, Resource Family Approval. You're going to see the judge assigned to the case if there is one. You're going to see the hearing status, whether it's pending hearing. Let me see, pending. I don't see one that's pending hearing. Oh, this one's scheduled. That means it hasn't been heard yet. Once the judge starts hearing the case, you're going to see in hearing. And then once it's done, you're going to see either heard, open, that means open record, or heard closed, I think is the other status. And here under hearing type, you're going to see 2 types for you guys. You're going to see either pre-hearing or a hearing. Then the hearing rep's name, and then the modality of the hearing. Any questions about the calendars? And then you can put dates, like if you want to see specific dates. Like, I don't know if I have anything in here for recently. So let me go July 1st to today. And let me see. Anytime you change anything in the search criteria up at the top, you're going to have to hit this refresh search so that it'll refresh your screen. So whatever dates you put in here, it's going to pull the hearings for those dates. All right, so any questions about the hearings queue? This way you can see when those hearings are coming up if you're interested. All right, going back to our presentation, I have this all written down for you. So you're going to go to the home screen, you're going to go to scheduling and click on calendars and hearings. That's going to bring up that calendars and hearings. Be sure to select that RFA statewide calendar by clicking this box right here. You can also select a start and end date if you like. And if you put any of this information in here, you're going to have to hit refresh search. And then your results will be right underneath. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions about that calendars and hearings queue. So this is sort of what it looks like. I took this screenshot from the live environment, so I had to redact the claimant information and the judge and hearing rep info, but this is what it looks like. It looks like the responsible agency is always going to be CDSS Legal for RFA cases. So these were pending scheduling, so they haven't been heard yet. You can see the different types of modalities, either phone or in person. And then here's the hearing dates and times. Oh, that's another thing I need to mention. The case number over here, if you click on it, that will take you to that appeal page for that case. The hearing type will always be hearing or pre-hearing. Caution, there may be more than one page. So depending on what you select, let me pull in the environment here. So right here, I have a whole bunch of hearings, but I have 11 hearings. But my, you can see in the upper left-hand corner here, I told it to show me 250 if there's 250. Because I don't like scrolling through different pages. I like to have it all on one big, huge page. So let's say you had it set to 10. And remember, there are 11 cases, right? It's going to show me the first 10, and you can tell down here that I am seeing only 1 through 10 of 11, so that there's a page 2. And you're going to find that other page right here. So I'm going to have to hit either next to go to the next page or the number 2, and it's going to show me the 11th case. So always be mindful of taking a look. You might not be seeing the whole story. Angela, good question. She asked, will you only see cases assigned to you, or will you see cases assigned to your county? It will be your county. County of Riverside was kind to allow me to participate in their webinar. Oh, Bernard. Hi, Bernard. Will this same webinar be shared with the County of San Bernardino RFA staff? Bernard, we can. We absolutely can share this with them, because all of the county's RFA teams work the same way. They all go through CDSS Legal, and Legal does their thing. So it probably would be a great idea to share this with all the other counties. But right now, Riverside had asked for this training, so we made this special for them. But I don't see why it can't be for all the other RFA folks. And I think I made it kind of homogenous that way. So good idea, Bernard. I think I definitely would like to do that and share with them. Feel free to, if you are you from San Bernardino or another county, Bernard? If you are, then you can download the presentation from the handouts, and you can definitely go in there and you can share that with your team for sure. Oh, and that is it. So let's see, the state hearings team here, thanks you very much for this opportunity to show you our ACMS system. If you have any questions about your case regarding RFA, here is the RFA inbox. I know you interact mostly with CDSS Legal So you probably know how to do that. I'm not quite sure about their contact information, but if you need any technical support, have any questions regarding this webinar, here is your tech support email address. That's also the email address that if you uploaded a document and you need it deleted right away, that's the email address that you send that email to. And then I have our website for information on the appeals case management system. That's where you're going to find the e-filer video. You're going to find a lot of information there. Right now, that website is I'm unable to update it due to CDSS's locking that website down. I think they're trying to find a different hosting or a different type of platform to get our website on. So for now, it has the information my last update. So go in there and take a look at it. It's still visible. You can still see all the info, but I'm just not able to upload it or update it for the last month or two. I've not been able to. I think that concludes everything. Angela, you can download a copy from the handouts here in this webinar. I think you should have a handout section. If not, just email this email address right here on the screen, that ACMS, and I will be happy to send it to you. Let's see. Oh, okay. This Bernard says it would be good to share with the CWDS CARES team. And I'll talk to the RFA team here and figure out what that is, because I don't know what that is. But yeah, if you suggest it, I will definitely listen to you. Right now I'm taking a screenshot of the question so that I can go back to the team and ask them what they think of sharing it with CWDS CARES. But thanks. If you have any questions about this at all, I think I'm within the time. Thanks, Bernard. OSICA Gov. Got it. I will go ahead and answer any questions now. I'm glad it was super helpful. Yeah, you guys have kind of a unique view because you don't really write your own SOPs, but you collaborate with CDSS Legal to get that done. So hopefully that we made that confidential document thing because of RFA. But we found other people find it very useful as well. So go ahead and take the presentation, and if you look at it later and have any questions, just let me know, and I'll be happy to let you answer your questions. What system does OAH? I don't even know what OAH is, Heidi. I'm not quite sure. So, oh, I know, Office of Administrative Hearings, right? I don't know. I don't know what system they use, but I think their people like a few months ago came and talked to us about our system. So they might be thinking about using something like ACMS. I'm not quite sure, but it's a little bit different. Do you guys have cases with OAH? Is that what you're asking? Oh, okay, that makes sense. Sometimes. Yeah, I don't know what system they use. If anybody else knows, is it good? Is it as good as ACMS? We'll find out, huh? Since they're thinking about changing, I'm thinking it's probably not as good as ACMS. So that's great. Well, unless you have any questions, I will hang out here, but there you go. You have the presentation. You have the email address if you need to contact us. And Bernard, I'm going to take you up on that information and share this with San Bernardino RFA staff and maybe other counties. I'll give it to our RFA staff here at State Hearings so that they can share it with whoever they want. All right, thank you. This is Ashley, and I'm going to go ahead and sign off now.